And I'm back with more Ustream. All right, I guess I gotta tell you the story. So I was I was staying in this abandoned house that was called the Hawker Building, or there was a sign that was broken. It was on the floor called the Hawker Building, and I went there and I looked at it, and right away I could see some familiarity of it, like I'd seen it on TV before or something. And they had these two kitsch garages that turns out they were magically open. But inside it had what looked like could have been a TV studio at one point. I kept getting these flashbacks of somebody named Pandora, a beautiful girl, black hair, nice butt, perfect figure, just being so entertaining, just dancing about the house in like the 30s and the 40s. And I cooked up this crazy, this crazy notion in my head that the house had been standing since the Civil War, and that it had gone through a lot, and that beneath the cellar was one of Tesla's labs. And I must have been halfway out of my mind to have concocted such a scheme. I was off all my medications. I wasn't doing any drugs, but I was not sleeping very well. Let's just say that. And when I don't sleep very well, I start to lucidly dream and dream out loud. But it was the most beautiful dream I'd ever had. And then I saw this abandoned warehouse, and it looked like it had a menorah on it. It looked like a present from the Jews to Pandora, like a real studio. And then one by one, the two Jews bought up all the buildings and decided to make this the most beautiful empire ever. And I think this Pandora had an idea on how to teach people, and they were going to make this gigantic hospital, a teaching hospital, and not just for doctors to teach, but for students. And they were going to heal all the problems in the world from the largest hospital in existence, called Pandora's Box. And that's the vision that I have in my head. And I know it's weird, but that's where I went with it. And I mean, there's more. When I sat down and looked at my crystal ball, it was like, no, actually I didn't have my crystal ball then, but I had my torch, and my torch just lit up when I went there. And they had this shed full of horseshoes, and one thing that's followed me throughout my whole life has been horseshoes and wands. There was wands in the shed that looked like something out of Walt Disney. It was like a Disney dream home. It was so beautiful. And I just immediately wanted to do a show there, but the show I wanted to do wasn't big enough. I had no friends. I had no people to pop in and say, hey, Pandora, what's happening? Because I would be Pandora in this twisted and deluded fantasy of mine, with all my friends, the Freemasons hanging out with me, telling stories. I love Freemason stories on the old days, and how beauty and brightness filled the air, and with a lot of love and enough hard work, we together can do anything. And where is that? Where is the love and the hard work and that together we can do anything? Why isn't that around anymore? Where is the largest hospital in existence healing the world? And why is it turned into such a shit fest? Why do they just want to screw over people who are brilliant just because they may have made a mistake? They want to black mark you. Again, not saying that what I did was right, but what they did was even worse. I don't know, man. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. And it was a safe house to me. I slept like 1 or 2 nights before I got just too excited. And there was keys there. There were these keys, and it looked like God's keys. It looked like all the keys to a beautiful hospital, these skeleton keys. Like you could get into any room you wanted to. and there was a set for every occasion. And I think it's time to open up this monster. And it's like, where did that day go? Where did the day go where we could accomplish anything? And why did Hitler kill the Jews again? And is there any way we could just bring everybody back to life and continue on where we left off? Is that possible? I think it's time for me to smoke this cigar. So that's the story. I mean, I'll talk more about it coming up a little later. But it's almost time for the sun to set. It's going down, look. And I'll come back for sunset, but I want to do some stuff on SoundCloud to see if, by uninstalling some apps, I uninstalled some apps, I want to see if it works better. And it doesn't skip like it did before with the moose hunting. But it was like, for a moment there, I wasn't crazy. Everything I ever dreamed was real. And I could touch it. And it was there. And I freaked out. And they took me to a mental institution. That was the second time I saw the psych doctor. But I didn't say it was Pandora's box. All I said was that it was a safe house. I got rid of these cigars. They're good. With the tip on them. But there was a plant that I thought was a weed plant there. And I was smoking that. It was the purple. I called it Pandora Purple. And I was talking to the plant. It was like the plant was alive, looking out for me. And they took my Schenectady compact that I showed the Secret Service. And they said, whoa. Because it was something I asked Gussie to leave for me. If he ever had an untimely demise. But Uncle Henry, if you're listening, I'm sorry to have intruded on your home. And I hope you don't mind me leaving some old school lab coats there. I figured you needed a uniform to decorate those medals of yours. And I'm sorry I made a mess of things and I wasn't going to steal anything. I wanted to stay there the rest of my life. I don't know how I could have been such a fool. That's one of the stories. I wonder if that guy was a Freemason. They kept walking by. Normally I'd bum a cigarette off him and have a conversation. I should have done that. If I see him again, I'm going to bum a cigarette off him. Even though I'm smoking a cigar. Now I want to be a Freemason so bad. I want to know all about this box. And I bet you dollars to donuts that Mark Jolie knows everything there is to know about Pandora's box. And I want to know how old the legends are. But I definitely have an inkling that there was a TV show or radio show involved at that location. All right, SoundCloud time, folks.